Yo. What's up, everybody? What's good? What's good? How's everyone doing? So, good news, my voice appears to be back. So, no RFK impression this week. Just good old yelling, screeching Maine. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. All right. Bow, bow, bow. Bow, 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 bow. Down, bow, 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 bow. Down, 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 down. Down, down, down. How's everyone doing? So are we alive, guys? Are we alive? Are we dead? What are we thinking? What's everyone thinking here? You know, que pasó? Que pasó? Que pasta? Yeah, I can read your messages, bro. All right. Looks like some people are scared. Some people think we're dead. 81K then up against his Soul Cowboy. Red Hood says goofy ass circular camera. Is my camera circular right now? I don't think it is. Okay, so listen, guys. I hope everyone's doing okay. Obviously, you know, when we get big down moves like this, a lot of people get carried out, right? So a lot of people are getting destroyed. You see those crazy liquidation numbers, right? And unfortunately, that's some of our friends, right? Those are people that maybe you interact with on Twitter. People are getting fucking destroyed out there. So, you know, it's really critical that you learn to practice good risk management, because these types of moves occur all the time in crypto, right? Like if you go look at prior bull markets even, right? Like we can have a 30% correction, right? Here's another one, right? 20% correction. Shit, this pulled down 50% and then went back to all-time high. And this has just been the way that crypto goes, right? So, I mean, here is a crazy big correction. Here is a crazy big correction. And this is on Bitcoin. I'm not talking altcoins here that go down 99%. I'm talking about Bitcoin, the big daddy. So, it's super, super critical, right, that you do not lose your fucking shirt in these moments. Now, whether or not this is the top, this is a, you know, mid-cycle blip, and it's going to look like, you know, just nothing more than a bump in the road in the rear view once this is all said and done. I'm not commenting on that yet. But your ability to take losses in these moments, get out of positions without completely nuking your trading account, right, without completely zeroing yourself out, is extremely important. Because the problem that a lot of people have, right, is they'll do this. Okay, they're making some money, and they're like, oh my God, dude, I'm printing, I'm doing so good. And then something like yesterday happens, and they do this. So all of this months and months and months of hard work gets wiped out in like a day, in a single move, okay? Cannot have that happen. I would much rather your equity curve look like this than have these big, crazy variances, right? Where, yeah, maybe it ends up being higher, right? But you're dealing with these crazy variances because your risk of ruin with this type of equity curve is much, much higher than with one that's growing slowly and steadily, okay? And another problem a lot of people have, right, is they're liquidating their entire account. Like at the end of the day, okay, Bitcoin is down 21% from its all-time high. Let's assume it goes down 30, which would be in line with previous pullbacks. That puts us at 75. Are you more than 30% off of your net worth all-time high at that level? Are you more than 20% off of your net worth all-time high right now? Like, I know there's going to be people who are zeroed. They've completely nuked their account. They have no money left. And you cannot play the game, okay, without money. You cannot shoot your gun without bullets, okay? So losses are part of it. These pullbacks in your equity curve, they're part of the game, right? But the key is that these are flesh wounds. These are not kill shots. These do not knock you out of the game completely. And a lot of people, I fear, right, on these types of moves, for two reasons, get wiped out. One, way too much leverage, okay? And two, you're holding altcoins. And so when Bitcoin does correct, these altcoins are just getting shellacked. So I hope everyone is surviving. I hope all of you are doing okay. I hope none of you guys have zeroed out. I hope some of the stuff I've shared with you guys over the months and years prepared you for this, because we talked about a retest of the range lows as being a possibility here. And the fact that any sort of downward movement on Bitcoin is likely going to mean really, really strong downward movement on altcoins due to the fact that Bitcoin dominance is continued to trade it higher, right? So it's right now in a situation where if you have money left, if you have dry powder because you've taken profits, because you've been smart with your money and with your portfolio thus far, now is when you need to start getting excited, right? Most people are shitting their pants right now, right? You know that fear, right, and greed chart? And they're like, oh my God, it's at greed. Oh my God, it's at fear. We want to be doing the inverse of that. I want to be cautious here and fearful, and I want to be greedy here. I want to be the inverse of the fear and greed chart. Because when the prices are down, if you're properly prepared, you have money, you have a game plan, you're not zeroed out, now is when there's opportunity, right? That's why now is exciting, because now there's opportunity. I know you don't want to buy Bitcoin at the range highs at 108K, but if you believe we're going to 130, 150, down here is a way better entry than way the fuck up here. You know what I'm saying? That's not that bad, Random Flower, to be honest with you. It's not that bad. So we want to be excited right now, right? We want to be excited because, in my opinion, I don't think it's over. I'm not saying the dump is done, but in my opinion, I don't think the bull market is over yet. And so any price below 90K, I am looking at as an opportunity to buy Bitcoin cheap. That's what I'm looking at right now. So the question is now, where are our levels of interest? Where are we interested in being a buyer? Portfolio only down 5% from all-time high. That's incredible, bro. Good for you. What is this? I have no idea what this is, to be honest with you. I don't even know why this is here. Like, what if I get rid of this, will it disappear? I have no control over what this is, so I don't know what it is. Who is Bob Lax? What is Bob Lax is a better question. Okay, so you really have two options here. Okay, option one is we believe that the top is not in. So option one is we believe the top is not in. Therefore, we're looking for opportunities to get long in expectation of the continuation of the bull market. Option number two is it's fucking over. And we need to be thinking about how the fuck we get out of here. Right? Those are kind of the two options you're left with. And I can't answer the question for you about whether or not you believe the market is over. I'm of the belief that it's not over yet. I think there are some worrying signs and some things that we have to be aware of that could potentially change my mind. But for now, I'm going to be trying to, make the argument that, we end up with one more leg higher. So, listen, if this is it for the bull run, right? Like if this is it and like that's it, we're toast. One, gay, right? Two, super duper gay. But it'll look real obvious in hindsight. Like back here, we had Elon Musk go on SNL and chill Dogecoin. And that was like to the day the fucking top, basically. Back here, sorry. Not this circle. It was May of 2021. Like it was literally like this to the day. Now, if this ends up being the top, right, we're going to look back at this and say, okay, Donald Trump, the president of the United States, launched a meme coin. Solana went to make an all-time high, and then he launched one for his wife, and then a month later, all of it is like zero. And man, like that's pretty fucking brutal. So it'll look obvious in hindsight for sure, being like, well, of course Donald Trump was the top. But we won't know until it's too late, right? So I think the things that we want to watch are a few, okay? First thing I'm looking at here are structure. On the weekly chart, the weekly range and the weekly structure is from here to like here. You could argue it's even this low. It's probably a cleaner low, but this is your weekly structure. Your monthly structure is all the way down here. So what does that mean? It means that very comfortably on the monthly time frame, we could come back into here, we could come retest here, and we're still very much in higher highs and higher lows on the monthly. Okay? And now I know that that's like, well, it doesn't do you any good because this is fucking 20% lower. Sure, I get it, right? But if we look at, let's actually use a different chart for this because I don't want to lose all my drawings and then have to press the back button 10,000 times. Right? So if you look at it like logarithmically, okay, we're still very much in this uptrending structure on the highest time frame. And I don't expect that to change really. And it doesn't. Like if you look even here, okay, this is your monthly structure here. So if this is just a monthly high and we're pulling back, right? Like logarithmically and on all the highest time frames, it still looks fine, right? But the problem with these super high time frames, right, is there's a lot of room that things can fall. Like this can maintain monthly structure, but pull back to 70K, to 60K, and still be well within the higher low zone on the monthly. So the good news is, the high time frames are still bullish. The bad news is on the high time frame, we can trade quite a bit lower before, reversing and still maintaining that structure. So really what I'm looking at here is the weekly, and I'm saying, okay, we've got this weekly sweep, and now we've got a key weekly low here. So this is what I'm going to be watching very intently this coming Sunday. If we close the weekly candle below here, my next trade is going to be selling whatever bounce we get the following week with the expectation of another rotation lower. Probably down into here would be the setup. Okay? If the weekly closes bearish. If the weekly closes bullish, meaning this closes as an SFP, kind of like this, then I'll be a little bit more optimistic that this is going to be like some sort of deviation, and maybe we trade even lower. But the idea here is we close back above here. We don't lose that weekly structure. Then potentially I'm more optimistic about this being just a deviation, and we're going to be okay. So option number one is a break of structure here, and then another leg down after a bounce. Option number two is this ends up being just a very long wick, and it's more so something like this. Okay? And this can also happen after, right? Like we could have this be a low. We could have a bounce, a lower low, and then we could sweep this low. Similar to what happened here, right? So we broke structure, bounced, sold off again, swept, made a lower low. There's your deviation. So that would be similar to this. Those are the two kind of bullish scenarios that I see. So scenario number one is like the worst is basically over. Maybe we go a little lower, but we're going to go up again. Scenario number two is we get another significant leg lower, maybe back into here, and then we go up, right? The worst case scenario, worst case scenario is we go to fucking zero. Worst case scenario is you get beat up, someone steals your ledger, and then we go to zero afterwards anyways. I don't know, because then it's bad for you because you got beat up, but it's also bad for the robber because your ledger is now worthless. The worst case scenario, though, I think realistically is that we're forming like this, and we're going to get like a serious pullback, like really ugly. And this structure looks eerily similar. Okay? Weekly sweep, weekly structure break, bearish retest, huge sell-off. Weekly sweep, weekly structure break, bearish retest, huge sell-off. So that's something that I'm watching that is slightly concerning. There's a lot of similarities between these two little bits of price action. Because if this is distribution, right? Distribution, your Wyckoff schematic, right? Boom, boom. And then you get that sweep. And then it's over, right? It distributes down. Whereas accumulation, right? It's the inverse. You get the boom, and then you get the spring below the low. And that's what this was, right? Spring below the low. Here, we're inverse to that. We ran the high. So something to consider, something to be, aware of is this kind of PA is similar to this. So what does this all mean? I don't fucking know, man. Be careful out there. Low time frame. Let's talk about the low time frame a little bit. I do think that we are potentially due for a bounce here. Had a big sell-off. We had one of the biggest liquidation events, in a long time. On some coins, I think potentially the biggest in years, like ETH. We've run a bunch of lows. Some sort of mean reversion bounce here is totally plausible. But I'm not just going to assume that if we reclaim this, it's all good. I'm still going to be very cautious, and I'm going to be looking, okay, is there signs of rejection here? Are there signs of rejection here? And if there are, like if we come up to 92, and then on the low time frame, we put in something bearish, I'm going to be, looking to short that. Expectation is continued downside for now, because on all of these lower time frames, we've broken structure. Like we've broken structure on the daily here. So yes, this can be a deviation and this can bounce, but my expectation would be probably a lower high relative to this one, right? So I think it's a really good time to pay attention, because there's going to be some discounts, some opportunities. We're going to have volatility. At the end of the day, we're traders, and what we really need to make money and what we really want is just volatility. And we kind of had some very low volatility here. Very low volatility here for almost an entire month, and now we've had a break. So because that period of low volatility has resulted in a move down, my next expectation is not just a V bottom and a reversal. I think it's much more likely that we end up getting some continuation lower, or at the very least, some consolidation around here. So I don't think this is a place to short by any means. I think short term, the downside is done, and we're probably due for a little bit of a bounce before any sort of continuation. But whether or not I think this wick is safe, I don't think we're able to tell that yet. I think short term, my expectation is, a move up into here or something, and then we see. Like, yeah, it can consolidate here. Maybe it runs the low again. But ultimately, I think a move back above 90, 91, up towards 92 is the next most realistic target for price. And then we need to see what happens when we get there. But this is all very much short-term stuff. I'm still high time frame bullish. I know it's crazy, but I don't think the bull market's over yet. If we get some sort of larger correction into here, I think that anything down into this area ends up being a fantastic opportunity before the next leg higher. I really do. And could I be wrong? Could things have materially changed? Could it be over? Could Trump have topped the market? Are we all fucked and we're going to be poor and we got to go back to our day jobs anyways? Very possible. Very possible. But I'm choosing to believe in something still. Now, this is Bitcoin we're talking about here. Bitcoin can dump horribly from here, still be trading in the 70s and 80Ks, still only be 30% off of its all-time highs. But the problem is this move down, your altcoin, which is down 90%, is going to go down another 50, 60, 70% again. And then overall, it's going to be down 95, but it's going to be down 50% from where it is right now. So that's one of the scariest things in situations like this is altcoins. Altcoins have remained very, 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 very weak relative to Bitcoin. And so if you are holding altcoins, you've got to be very careful, because if Bitcoin sells off further, based on all the evidence we have right now, a lot of these altcoins can continue to fall. Remember the math exercise we did, right? Where it's like, okay, why does it always do this? Right? Yeah, like your coin is down. Your coin is down 90% or whatever. And then from here, right, it can trade down another 90%. And it's only going to be, instead of being down 90, now it's just down 99. So like it's down 10% more, right, from the total top, but it's down 90% again from where it is currently. So all altcoins can do this. You got to be very careful. And we've already seen this happen on a bunch of these coins, right? Like if you look at something like Fartcoin, which is just hilarious to say and hilarious to talk about because it's just fucking Fartcoin. We have a move down here, right? 90%. But within that 90% down move, right? We've had an additional 60% down move. So while it's down 90% overall, and, you know, from here to here, it's only 72%. Now it's, you know, 90%. It's gone down another 60%. So what does that mean, like, numbers-wise? If you have 100K in a coin, right, and then it goes down 90%, now you have 10, okay? And you're like, fuck, I lost 90%. How much worse can it get? Well, this 10K can now become 1K. And you've lost 90% again, but the accumulated percent you're down from the original 100 is 99. And then guess what? This 1K can become $100. So you've now lost 90% again, while overall now you're just down 99.9%. Okay? So, bro, keep fighting alt, but BTC is even more worthless. Are you fucking retarded? That might be the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And I've heard some dumb shit in these streams. BTC is even more worthless than altcoins. Are you out of your goddamn mind? Okay, so I'm just trying to let you guys know about the math behind altcoins, because a lot of people don't understand. They're like, how much worse can it get? And it's like, if Bitcoin goes down to 75K, which is another 15% drop from here, altcoins that are already down 90% are going to cut in half again. Okay, so we covered Bitcoin here. Ethereum rejected kind of at our range high. You know, to me, it's like, what are the odds that we leave, you know, this wick here based on how things look? Probably pretty low. So I wouldn't be surprised to see ETH come down and take these out, even after some bounce, right? But again, like, just, you got to be very, very careful. Be very, 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 very careful with these altcoins, because right now, I think structurally, like, ETH doesn't look great, but just have more history. But like, I still think that this makes an all-time high. This, like, I still believe in a new all-time high for ETH. Maybe I'm crazy, but I do. Sol, I'm not so sure how high it goes. Again, I think it's in demand here. So we're in demand. We're kind of holding up near that midpoint level that I'd drawn out. So again, similar to Bitcoin, I think due for potential bounce. A lot of this stuff could be bouncing. The question is it just all going to be bearish retests? That's what you got to be looking at across the board here. I think SPX looks a little worrisome. Like, if you look at this thing, you know, on the highest time frame, you're kind of like, okay, it just took out all of these highs, and it's like closing well below there. So could this now trade back into here? Possibly, right? So what happens to crypto if stocks dump, you know, 5-10%? Probably not good. Yeah, we're going into rice discovery, because that's all you're going to be able to afford to eat at the rate things are going. Sol BTC, like, so yeah, listen, I'm not shorting here. If we're gonna short, it's gonna be on a bounce. If we're gonna short Solana, in my opinion, it's like up here. If we're gonna get another leg down. But I do think that things are probably going to bounce from here. Even if we take out this wick again, I do still think that we're going to get some sort of rotation back, you know, into these areas here. And then we see. This is for Solana. For BTC, ETH actually looks better than most. So if you look at ETH BTC, right, ETH BTC looks stronger than a lot of these other coins. And if ETH is able to reclaim this floor, you know, it could potentially, like if you just look at this as a range, you could say, okay, we'll deviate the low. If it reclaims, maybe now we deviate the high. On ETH. So ETH is interesting. Like both Sol and Bitcoin made new lows. ETH did not. Sol BTC. Yeah, I mean, hate to break it to you guys. This thing's toast. It's on demand, right? Like it's in demand here. But here's the thing. Like the whole market can bounce. Bitcoin can go to 150K. This thing could do this. And Sol goes to $500, but like it never makes a new all-time high versus Bitcoin, which is exactly what happened to Ethereum, right? Like who's to say that Sol BTC is not like, is not right here. So it's in the range, breaks down, has a big rally. It puts in an all-time high versus US dollars, but it's like never going to make an all-time high versus Bitcoin again. So these will look, I think, quite interesting if you compare them right next to each other. Like, you can't tell me that you don't see the similarities between those two. And to me, Sol BTC is like right here. Does that make sense? Is this a rerun? I said the exact same thing as last time. Well, this what do you want me to say, bro? This is someone asked me a question. I'm just answering it. It's the weekly chart. Stuff takes a while to play out. I love you too, bro. Can I explain a bearish retest? Sure. So it's when price goes up. So it's like when price is trading down, okay? And then it comes and retests a former level that might have been support. So like a really good example of a bearish retest is like this here. Okay, like there's a great one right here. So you see how prices topped out, it starts moving down, okay? Makes a lower low, comes back up, and it bearishly retests that old support, sells off again. This is a bearish retest. This is a bearish retest. Okay? So it's the lower high, right? That's all it really is. So when I'm talking about that in the current context right now, what we're looking for is, okay, if this is due for a bounce, where's that bounce going to go to? I reckon somewhere like this. Oops. Something like up into here. Okay? So what we're going to be looking for is if price comes up here on the low time frame, I want to zoom in and I want to see if we take out a high, break structure, and then if this sells off again, there's your bearish retest, right? This is a bearish retest. Where is it here? I think ETH. Yeah, ETH has a really good one right here, right? So move down, trades back up. There's your bearish retest, right? And the idea here is on this move up, people are getting bullish. People are expecting price to break out here and form new highs. Really, it's just a bearish retest, and it's confirming resistance. This is a bearish retest, right? Moves down, comes back up, bearish retest, sells off again. So that's all it is, really. So if this were to come up here and reject from here, right, that'd be a bearish retest, and we would target a new low. So in reality here, in a downtrend, what you're looking for is the bounce to get capped out at resistance and then continuation of the bearish trend. FBTC is Bitcoin dominance upside down. Basically, that's why they look so similar. You can also do right, like this is basically ETH BTC kind of as well. So this is alt minus Tether divided by Bitcoin. So this is kind of like alt as a whole divided by BTC. So when is alt season, right? When this is in an uptrend. When this is in an uptrend, this is when alts are doing the best. Hold on here. I can get a better one. There's one with more history. Hold on. There we go. So this is like alt BTC as a giant representation on a graph. So when is alt season? Here. Right? When is alt season? Here. So let's line this up now with something like Ethereum. Okay. So if we look at these two next to each other, look at when Ethereum had its big moment. Right here. Right? Where did Ethereum's bottom form? Okay. Or top, excuse me. So you can see here, right when this top formed, give me this little red line. They're right on top of each other. So this was your alt season, right? ETH doubled. If you go back to the even prior bull run, right? Look at when ETH topped out. Right here, it's the same as this. Okay, so this is alt BTC. So this is a good barometer for alt season. You want alt season to occur, we need this thing to go up. So have there been periods of time where alts have done well? Yeah. Look at this. Remember November of this year, the election month? Remember how everything ripped? Altcoins ripped? Well, look at this chart. But for the most part, alts have been underperforming Bitcoin for the better part of 2-3 years. So this is a really good chart to look at if you want a good barometer for like what are alts doing. Hype is very interesting. I think hype is potentially one of the stronger charts still. And we just ran like everything. So like I think we took out every single low. All the way back to, December. So there's a chance now that this thing is going to mean revert. So let me do this. Right? So range high, deviate, just took out the range low. Like I could see this come back up at least into the mid-range. Maybe higher. Why do you look at SPX instead of NDX? I'm just looking at SPX in general because it's a good barometer for whether or not we're risk on or risk off. It's not necessarily for a correlation to Bitcoin. NQ arguably looks better than SPX right now. Bitcoin's actually is much more closely correlated to the Russell than it is to anything else. But I agree, like, yeah, Bitcoin's more like a tech stock, I guess. But I'm just looking at whether or not stocks are bullish or bearish, right? And NQ doesn't have that, failure at the high. So there's a bit of a divergence here, right? Where NQ made a lower high and ES made a higher high. So what does that mean? It means if we sell off, NQ is going to sell off fucking harder. What do I think about SBF? My thought process is that someone hacked his account and they did that corny ass tweet kind of in his writing style. And the plan is to try and probably launch a coin and extract as much money as they can from the market. Chart S for me. What is S? This? What is this? I don't even know what the fuck this is. I wish Bitcoin looked like this. Oh, is this the new FTM? Okay. See, so here's a really good lesson in psychology. Okay. So FTM. Let's see if we can find. Okay, so we're going to look at this and we're going to look at S. Okay. So like what chart seems like the better buy? Right? Like very clearly this looks a lot sexier because it's a new chart. So the best team at this is Matic. Now they're Polygon, I believe, right? Is the chart. Now it's Poly. So the idea here is very simple. They're rebranding and now they have a new chart. Because if you look at this chart, what do you see? You see bag holders. You see, okay, well, look, all of these people, there's resistance here. There's people who bought above 250 who are underwater and they want to get out. All you see is overhead supply, right? And so the rebrand, fresh new chart, man. Look, this thing's got, of course, this thing looks amazing, bro. It's almost at all-time high. It's got nowhere to go but up. So it's a very good tactic for like tricking normies, I guess, into thinking that the chart is not as shitty looking as it is. Not that there's a lot uglier charts than FTM. But I just think it's like a funny little trick that they use. So do I think Sonic looks good? I think you're actually better off looking at the FTM chart because then you have price history. So on the weekly, like this is still a bearish kind of weekly chart. Okay. I know it's like kind of curling up here. But to me, we are kind of banging up now into resistance here, right? We have this up move here. This, right? That started this leg down. So to me, there's some resistance here, and this is a high. We broke this low here. So I'd be just careful as this approaches kind of the OTE of this swing point to see if we get some sort of rejection. So where does that put us? Around $1, I had to guesstimate. Yeah, so I'd be watching around 103 to 113 and kind of seeing what happens if we get up there, if this puts in a lower high or not. Is Wyckoff the only way to identify the range? Looks like distribution accumulation. The thing is, all that Wyckoff does is it gives you an estimation of what a range looks like when it's accumulating and when it's distributing. But, you know, everyone will try and take that Wyckoff image and plaster it over price and be like, see? Because at the end of the day, the hallmarks of accumulation and distribution, in my opinion, the two most important things are, what is the trend leading into it? Are we coming into resistance? So, like, if we are bullish on something, right, but it's coming into a level of resistance and we get some sort of pullback and then range, you could assume, okay, well, I'm bullish. I do think it trades higher. That this is going to end up being Wyckoff accumulation, right? And if you think that the top is in or something is selling off, you're looking for it to be distribution, but you're never going to know until it's already happened. Like, we don't know if it's accumulation till it's already broken out the other side of the range. We don't know if it's distribution till it's already broken down from the consolidation. But the biggest thing that you want to look for, in my opinion, is, are we getting a deviation at the high or the low? Right? Like, that's the hallmark of Wyckoff, right? Like, right? Like, the hallmark here is the sideways. You get the low and then the deviation of the low, the spring, and then the retest, right? And then the inverse is the distributive version, right? Here we go. And it's the inverse, right? Where it runs the high. That's really the biggest hallmark, is we get a range, we get sideways price action, and you want to see, that's the clue, right? Is, okay, did we run the range low and then get that reclaim back inside? And so that's the biggest worry for Bitcoin right now, is it looks more like distribution than it does accumulation. Now, that can change. And how would it change? How the fuck do I get back to my chart? Would be by doing something like this, right? Taking out a low. So bouncing, taking out a low, and then reclaiming. All of a sudden now the whole characteristics of this range change. But you don't know until it's kind of too late. It's like, you don't know the top is in until it's over. And the biggest issue I think a lot of people have is they're so focused on price targets. Like, let's assume that you think that the top for Bitcoin is 150. And you're like, okay, we get to 150 and I'm selling, right? I'm going to sell at 150. What happens if we get to 148? Do you just never sell? Right? Do you just never sell? How do you get out? So using price action helps, having portfolio-based goals helps, and having price targets help. Because if we get to 140, but then we start looking shitty and, you know, we start breaking down, you need to have the ability to sell and realize it might not get to your 150 handle. And so that's why I'm looking at the weekly here, right? I'm watching, okay, like last time we broke the weekly near the top, it was over. So if we get some sort of weekly structure break here, there's a chance that we're opening up the door for a much larger correction. What's my favorite hair conditioner? Water, shaving cream. I'm bald, motherfucker. You know this. Yeah, IMG is great for marking out order blocks and stuff for you. Like, if you don't want to do the ranges, it can do the ranges for you. It'll mark out the order blocks. It will mark out the ranges. It will do the, right? So you've got your range high potential here, and then it will form a range low. So it will do all that stuff for you. It can be very helpful. So this was a bullish range. Now we're a bearish range, potential bearish range on the 12-hour. And, you can edit the settings to, you know, show different shit. Like, you know, then obviously if you get the beefed up version, it will do way more stuff. Like it will show you SFPs, it will show you potential entries and shit. Like, so there's lots of cool stuff that it can do, but I still, at the end of the day, I do all of my TA myself, but this can be a nice time saver. If that's the type of trading you do, if you're like a price action trader. And there's even like lots of free indicators like that one I use. And then the other thing I use all the time is Spaceman's indicator. This is free as well. And you can get all of your ranges on here, your monthly opens and stuff like that. I think this is a really good indicator. Can you manually map out Monday's range? Yeah, but having a little indicator do it, I think is really nice. Do we close green BTC on what time frame? Matt J. QT continues in March. We get a black swan after that. What's the black swan going to be? Like, we just had the largest hack ever of an exchange. Like, is that not black swan enough? So I don't know. On the flip side, what are the bullish narratives? What are the bullish narratives for price to trade higher? Like what can happen on the bull side that's going to cause prices to go higher? Always an interesting thought exercise. Whiff on spear regulations. Can I do T on Sweet Bonanza? Bro, I wish. You guys see that fucking win? 36K? Holy macaroni. USA putting in Bitcoin. What happens if they go into Fort Knox? They go into Fort Knox and there's no gold there. Like, Elon gets in there and there's like no fucking gold. And he does his little like, well, you know, there's supposed to be gold here, and there's not as much gold here as there's supposed to be. So clearly, this is an example of a government waste. Motherfucker's got a stutter, dude. But let's say they go in there and there's no gold, and then they're like, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna fucking fill it with Bitcoin. And they just fill it with a bunch of fucking ledgers. They put a bunch of ledgers in there and stack Fort Knox full of ledgers of Bitcoin. Tau. Yeah, like a lot of stuff is getting a really nice bounce today. Really nice bounce today. So, you know, there's some knives to be caught. But to me, it's like we're a little bit like Bitcoin's already up 3%. Like some of these alts are up. Like look at ETH. ETH is up 10% already. Sol is up, 10% already. So if you didn't catch the bottom, I find it hard to chase here. You know what I mean? Yeah, Chris, we're aware it's cooked, you fucking doorknob. We're trying to see where these bounces go to so we can determine where the fuck the bearish retests are going to be. Fucking Captain Obvious here. Market's down 35%. Oh, man, it's cooked. No shit, Sherlock. But what I'm saying, before I was so rudely interrupted, is that, yes, a lot of these things are having nice bounces, like off the lows. But to me, unless you bought this morning, right, or overnight, and you caught these moves, the better setup here is just waiting and seeing if this is just all bearish retests across the board. And you can short this and probably, this thing probably wipes out all these lows at one point, right? Yeah, Tesla looks fucking horrible. So it's like, where does this go to? Yearly SFP, bro. The yearly SF fucking P, bro. It's over. It's never been more over for Tesla. I'm just kidding. Tesla will probably be fine, but pretty hilarious. So like something like this, dude, like probably gets a bounce and then probably has another leg down, to be honest with you. Like I wouldn't be surprised at all if some of these tech stocks really eat shit. But where does it bounce from? I don't know. Like you've got demand here, so like maybe we get one of these, like, right? Like maybe it's down, bounce, and then another short or something. I don't know. That looks nice. Yo, Maine, I am new here, new to trading. Started with crypto. What do you trade in the bear market? Well, ideally you short, right? So the nice thing about the bear market is that at least the start of it, like at least the start of the bear market, there's tons of volatility, right? And price is moving. Because at the end of the day, if you're a trader, up or down doesn't matter. Is it moving? That's all you need to make money. And so at the start of the bear market, there's a lot of volatility, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's down, but it's volatility nonetheless. The shitty part of the bear market is when volatility dies and price doesn't move a lot. That's the shitty part, because then it's like there's not even a lot of opportunity. Like here we had a 70% dump, a 100% bounce, a 40% dump, a 60% bounce, a 30% dump. Like there's tons of vol here. Big volatility, lots of money to be made. This is the part that's brutal when you're kind of in a tiny little sideways range for months and months and months. Volatility death is the worst part of the bear market, because then even if you're bearish, it's like there's not a lot of movement. There's not a lot of opportunity to make money, right? Same thing all the way back here. Like this was the worst part of the bear market, was this. Yeah, what you want to be careful of is like, you don't want to just be buying the dip, because the dip can just keep dipping and dipping and dipping and dipping. You want to know how Murad blew up? Here. That's how he blew up, and then he disappeared on the face of the earth, and they came back as a meme coin savant. Like what's the Murad list right now? The most interesting one on his list is this coin, I think. SPX 6900. Because like this thing, good chance that this probably eats shit even more, but like this thing went crazy. And if you bought it, a few months ago, like in October in the fall, you could still be up, right? Like, and if you bought it a year ago, like you're up a shitload still. Like you're up a shitload still. But a lot of these coins that he's, been shilling, they're starting to look pretty scary. Summarize what you doing in one line. Show your BTC sell strategy. What a fucking weird demand, bro. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Tell me exactly what to do, and you only have 1 cent to do it. What is this, the fucking SATs? Or like, I got 500 words to write a personal statement? Bro, look at the power of the EQ, dude. Okay, these are 12-hour candles. Look at the bodies, dude. Look at the bodies. The respect. The respect. It's unbelievable. Look at the reaction, bro. Unreal. Yeah, bro's prompting me like I'm an AI. Tell me your entire strategy in 1 sentence. Be concise. If you go to the Breakout YouTube channel, Breakout Prop YouTube channel, I did a free course there that's pretty solid. And definitely worth checking out in my opinion. Okay, look at H bar. Valid H12 sweep. Are you talking about are you talking about this? And like you're looking to short it? Because technically it is valid, right? But just keep in mind, I think Bitcoin can squeeze higher here, and that will probably squeeze this higher as well. But like if your risk is up here, I think, you know, this is kind of where I'd want to short this thing potentially. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. Too cold. Sending me SIGs on Twitter. I don't even know what that means, but thank you. One of the funniest things I saw today is someone put that they were a breakout trader on their LinkedIn. That was hilarious. Nero. Okay, I see you guys. Jesus Christ. Stop yelling at me. Oh my God, dude. Oh my God. Nero. Yeah, like, I mean, a lot of stuff is bounced. Like, if you bought this morning, you got some really nice entries. But the question you have to ask yourself is, do you hold these? Right? Do you hold these, or do you sell them and assume that they're just bearish retests? Like, is this a bearish retest here that's in process, or is this the bottom? Because this thing dropped 30% in the last 2 or 3 days. And now it's up 26%. But, I mean, this is just like a range. Right? Like, this just seems like a range. Lenny farted. Everyone point and laugh at Lenny. Am I a day trader? What is your strategy? Your medium time frame setup and fave tokens. I'm more of a swing trader. My favorite tokens to trade are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. And my strategy is price action. And it's generally based on multi-time frame analysis and using liquidity sweeps and then breaks and structures to catch continuation or reversal plays. Sol, why do you want to look at Sol BTC on the hourly? Like, what is this going to do for you? Ta-da! Like, what have you gained from this? Leverage is irrelevant, right? So there's no leverage. The leverage is irrelevant. CRV. All that matters is position sizing. Depends how much money I have on the exchange. Depends on a variety of factors. But I'm not using leverage as like, it's not like I'm like, oh, I use 100x every time or 10x every time. It doesn't matter. So all that matters is position size. If you have a trade where your stop is here and your target is there and your entry is there, whether or not this is 100x, and then your position size is set up in a way that if you're wrong, you lose 10K here. Whether you're 100x or 10x is irrelevant. All that this determines is how much margin is required to open the trade. It does not change anything. You don't make more money with more leverage. You don't make less money with less leverage. It does no bearing on the trade whatsoever. Position size is all you need. You need to know where your entry is, how far your stop loss is in terms of a percentage from your entry. Then using that information, you can calculate how much you want to risk, right? Let's say I want to risk 10K. I can determine how big my position should be. Should it be 2 Bitcoin, 3 Bitcoin, whatever it is? I use the position size, and you can just use the calculator that are on all of the exchanges. You use your position size to make sure that if price stops you out, you only end up losing 10K. At no point is leverage part of this calculation. At no point is it part of this calculation, okay? It just determines how much margin is required. You want to know what leverage is for? Leverage is for the fact that Bybit, one of the leading exchanges in the space, just got hacked for $1.4 billion, right? And because it got hacked, there was a chance that maybe some people lost money. Luckily, Bybit came out of this smelling like roses. They processed all withdrawals in a day. It was actually phenomenal how well they handled it. That being said, if you have $1 million, okay, you could put 100K on Bybit and then use 10x leverage, and now you're operating as if you still have $1 million, because you do, but you only have to keep 100K on the exchange, and you can use leverage to still command the same position size as if you were keeping the full $1 million on there and using no leverage at all. That is what leverage is for. Leverage is to reduce your counterparty risk. Keeping money on a centralized exchange where it's not yours, you're not the custodian of it, that is counterparty risk. Okay? And no one is going to tell you that. One of the biggest problems that we've had over the last few months on crypto Twitter, and this happens every bull run. This is not me pointing fingers at anyone in particular. But every time we have a bull run and stuff starts to go up, there are people who are bullish early on things that go up. And then things go up so much that everyone looks like a genius. And then all of a sudden, the average person starts looking at these people and saying, wow, this guy was bullish on meme coins and meme coins went up, right? Therefore, this person must know what they're talking about. When in reality, that person doesn't have a fucking clue what they're talking about. They just happen to be a bull in a bull run. And I'm not trying to say I'm some sort of super genius and I get everything right. I get shit wrong all the time. But I do have a very thorough understanding of how markets work, trading bull markets and bear markets, making more money than I lose. Like, I know that stuff. And I have a verifiable track record over years of being here and being somewhat accurate, making money, right? I do this full time, okay? Doesn't mean I'm going to get everything right. Doesn't mean I catch every rotation. But there's people who get elevated to these levels. They get a bunch of followers by just being a bull in a bull run. This happens every cycle. This cycle is no different. So there's people who in this cycle were bullish on AI coins, and for like 2 months, we thought that they were the next coming of, Jesus himself. And then all these AI coins are now down 99%. when those people were telling you that these were the future and they're just like chat GPT wrappers. Same thing happened last cycle with like fucking NFTs. Oh, this guy was bullish on NFTs. And man, he's a visionary. He understands that the future of the world is going to be tokenized in the form of monkey JPEGs. And that's why he wrote a 50-tweet thesis on why he's not selling his picture of a fucking monkey for $10 million. And now it's worth $10,000 and he's down 99%, right? So this happens every cycle. And so you're going to have people who appear to know what they're doing, but it's your job as a consumer of content online to be able to differentiate between people who know what they're doing and people who might just be a bull in a bull run. Furthermore, it's your responsibility to not just assume that someone on the internet knows what they're doing and you should therefore follow their advice blindly. You need to be making your own decisions, right? And so the problem is in the bull markets, it's especially hard because you can just throw a dart at a board and something goes up and all of a sudden people think you're a savant. And that can be also a lot of pressure for that person, right? Call out Ansem by name. Ansem shorted the top. Like Ansem long Sol at the bottom, shorted Bitcoin and Sol and sold a bunch of tokens at like the Pico top so far. So I'm definitely not talking about Ansem. Watching Maine for all these years has given me gay autism. I'm glad to hear I'm rubbing off on you. Or should I say rubbing you off? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, because you said you're gay. Furthermore is crazy. I don't know where I came out. I don't know where I came with that. Anyways, do I own a gun? Come find out, bro. Come and find out. Just kidding. Please don't come to my house. I do own a gun, but I live in Canada. So there's like gay rules around guns. Like I don't got any cool ones. I don't have a fucking AR-15. I got like a shotgun and a handgun. Fave neck exercises, shoulder shrugs, deadlifts, overhead military press. That's how you're going to get fucking... That's how you're going to get fucking... Oh, I might have just pulled something. I love faux. Okay, someone asked about CRV. I think it was Dog Toshi. CRV, I think, looks interesting. Because one thing I like about CRV is it does something. Like, it does something. What does it do? There's better people to ask than me. But it does something. So there's that going for it. It's not just like some random meme coin. And what we had here on CRV is a legit shift, in my opinion, right? You had that low, right? Like this looks like, to me, this looks very much like Bitcoin at 15K. If you remember, like this kind of PA is some of my favorite to trade. I use this same type of PA to long link, right? This deviation PA. I did the same thing on link, if you guys remember. Oops, remember this? Traded below the low, reclaimed. And so CRV has that same type of kind of PA here where it's deviated the low and it's reclaimed. So I actually find this to be a quite interesting chart based on the monthly alone. You have a monthly breaker here. So this to me is actually a very interesting looking chart. Can this come down another 30% and test this? Yeah. But like some sort of long, whoa, why the fuck is this all the way down there? Some sort of long is setting up here on CRV, I think. And it's just a matter of whether or not the low is in yet. But to me, I love this type of price action. Like I love this over under clear floor, clear deviation, clear reclaim. I used the exact same pattern here to long Coinbase at the lows. So if you guys remember my Coinbase long, it was the exact same price action here. Okay? Clear low, clear deviation below the low, and then retest. Exact same. So I do think CRV is very interesting. Someone was screaming about ENA. So, yeah, like, again, this is like SOL to me. Like, there's monthly demand here. And that's always interesting. So, again, could this come down lower? Could it trade down below here? Absolutely. But I generally like when a coin is in monthly demand and, you know, maybe it consolidates here for a while. But I think it's at an interesting area, right? Like within this monthly demand, a low could form relative to this. So I don't mind this one. Looks okay. Bearish retest on SOL hourly. Let's see. It's possible, dude. Like, look. So here. Let's see if we get... so if this does this, if we break below here, I think you could market short. And then the RR is kind of gay. The stop's a little wide, but I think if it does break below there, I think you at least get something. I don't know if it trades all the way here, right? And then maybe you get a better entry, but I bet you we take those out if it closes below there. So we'll leave this on for the next handful of minutes here and see if that comes true. It has to close below there. And if it does, then any bounce is a short, and you would target into here. Just a little low time frame fucking juice. Yeah, so like one thing I like about some coins, like what I like, coins I like do something, right? Like we always talk about crypto. Oh, everyone's like, oh, it doesn't do anything. Like meme coins kind of are, you know, they out from the outset, you know, fart coin doesn't do anything. Neither does Popcat or Chill Guy or Pepe. They don't do fucking anything, but they don't promise to do anything either. So you kind of have this weird dichotomy where it's like, okay, there's things that are from the outset tell you they do nothing, and then there's these things that are other alts that pretend they do something but actually do nothing. But then you have this third category of there are coins that do some shit. Curve, right? BNB has a use case. It's the token for Binance. A bet on BNB to me is a bet on CZ. It's a bet on Binance as an exchange. Similarly, something like Hype, like you mentioned, there's some sort of function there, right? Like they're buying it back. Like it's a token for a company that does something. It makes money. There's revenue generation. A lot of these altcoins, you know, pretend like they do something, but they do nothing. And so there's this like weird, it's like, how do you want to get fucked? You know, like with the meme coin, everyone's like, these meme coins are scams. Let's rotate into utility. And what they mean by utility is let's rotate into the VC fucking garbage-filled token that I actually own that is going to rug you. It's just going to rug you more slowly. Like, what's a worse scam? Like, what is a worse scam? Is TIA any worse of a is TIA any better or worse of a scam than Fartcoin? Like you could interchange the names of these charts and you wouldn't even really know the difference. Right? Like This went down 90%. This went down 90%. Like they both went to zero. This one just happened a lot faster. This took 2 or 3 months to go up and down, and this one took, a year. But like, do you want to get fucked fast or slow? At the end of the day, like VCs were extracting and fucking fisting you the entire way down. Like this one, it's Chris Bernisk tweeting out his goddamn holier than thou fucking threads about blah, blah, blah. It's like, bro, you've been telling us Tia's bullish since it was $10 and you got in at pennies. And he goes, well, I'm still bullish, Tia. It's like, okay, prove. If you're so bullish, Chris, prove to me you haven't sold any. Prove that you haven't sold any. And also, tell us your entry. Is it not like at 3 cents? It's very easy to be bullish on something that's at $3, even though it used to be at 23 when you got in at pennies, right? So you could argue that because this went up higher and had more money involved, there was more value extracted from Tia than from Fartcoin. No one's talking about this. Why aren't we talking about the fact that there was more value extraction from Tia than there was from Fartcoin? There was more value extracted from Tia than there was from Libra. It just happened that Libra did its entire value extraction in a day and Tia did it over 365 days. But does that make Chris Bernisk any better than Hayden Davis? I'm just kidding. Obviously, that would be slander. I don't mean it. But still, you know what I mean? Like, it's easy to be on these little high horse and write these blah, blah, blah. It's like, dude, anyone who bought Tia at any point, basically, unless they bought it in October of 2 years ago, is fucking underwater. So who are you to dunk on meme coins? You know? I can start feeling my voice. It's just feathering a little bit. Cause I'm getting hyped. I gotta learn to not yell. I've got to preserve my vocal cords. I'm gonna be one of those old guys who's like, I can barely talk. So Dylan says, I think the true value extraction is in the thousands of rugs that go to 100 mil to zero in just one day. People who lost money on Fartcoin just lost to other traders rather than pure scammers. Here's the thing, Dylan. It's zero sum. Everyone's losing to someone. Whether you're losing to one group of people or thousands of people, everybody's losing at some point. There's winners and there's losers. For every buyer, there's a seller. For this coin to have traded at this price, that means someone sold to someone up there. Right? So to me, again, it just goes back to like, what is the speed at which you want the grift to happen? At least with meme coins, you should know that they're all scams. They're all destined to go to zero for the most part, especially versus Bitcoin. And it's really a game of musical chairs and who is going to hold the who's going to be able to wait and be the greater fool to be the last person to sell Fartcoin before there's no more buyers, right? Like that's all it really is. But at least meme coins are upfront about it. Tia is touted as some fucking VC-backed bullshit fucking slop. That it's some revolutionary shit, but the result is the same. They both go down 80, 90%. At least with Pump Fund and all this stuff, you should realize that you are entering a casino where, one, most people are net losers, and two, there is no regulation, so there is absolutely going to be scams and asymmetric information. But as long as you know that going in, you're then taking a risk. Like, I know when I go to the casino and I play blackjack, there's 6 decks in the automatic shuffler, and the dealer's gotten 21 3 times in a row, and the last one was 5 cards. I still go back because because there's a chance I win, and it's entertainment. And like, you got to kind of think of these meme coins as the same thing. Like, Is there some strategy? Are there things you can do to stack the deck in your favor? Yes. But at the end of the day, it's a rigged game and you're gambling. I'm not trying to justify what like Hayden Davis and Libra did. That's terrible. But if you bought a coin that launches, like, you know, if you buy one of these meme coins and your expectation is that you're just going to get a free ride to millions of dollars, realize that that's probably not the case. And if you do get lucky and you make money, make sure you take that money. Can I look at Jasmine? Only because you asked so nicely. It's crazy because like I just don't even know what these coins are. So this looks a lot like SPX 6900. Does anyone else see that? Am I crazy, or do these kind of look similar? That's pretty similar, man. So thoughts on Peanut. My thoughts are fuck you. Fuck you, PJ. Anyways, so here's the problem with something like this, right? Is you have a very nice kind of accumulation that occurred here, and now it's broken out. But the problem now is you have this kind of risky business area where it's like this floor, and the question you got to ask yourself, is this going to hold, or are we going to gap fill and back test here? So to me, the time to buy this thing, if it's going to go up, is you got to assume that this floor holds, right? Because if this floor does not hold, the next buying opportunity is 50% lower at least, right? But I would be willing to take another stab there. That's the thing. So if you want to take a stab here, maybe this holds. But I kind of see this as like, okay, you know, it's failing to go out. It keeps coming back to this level. Like maybe it gets another bounce. But I'd be much more comfortable buying a retest of this initial accumulation. Jasmine is a Japanese coin. I have no idea. Jasmine to me sounds like a dating site for Japanese people. That's what it sounds like to me. And I don't think that that's racist to say at all. I think that's what Jasmine, just viscerally, I hear the word and I see Japanese people on Jasmine. I almost did a very racist Japanese accent there, and I stopped myself because we're not getting canceled today. And they're just on their phone scrolling on Jasmine, you know, trying to meet up and, you know, bring up the birth rate in Japan, which is horrifically low. Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic, Inu. Harry Potter, Obama, Sonic. Man, that accent was on the tip of my goddamn tongue, and I just fucking swallowed that thing down. Not today. You're not getting me today. I mean, listen, this is like another thing that's had just an incredible run, dude. Like, it's been insane. Like, I believe this is on the Murad list. So, like, it's all relative to when you bought. Like, there's been so much opportunity to make money in this chart, right? But if you bought it, like, here, and you're like, fuck, I bought near the lows, like, it's got to be painful that it's kind of just, like, right back there. But, I mean, I guess it could be worse. You could have bought Ethereum. So, like, at least this had the potential to go up. But, yeah, like, a lot of these coins, I don't know. Like, who's to say it's over? You know, breathe a little bit of bullishness back into the market, and all of a sudden, some of this stuff starts to look good again. So if we get a little bit further of a pullback, maybe take out that low, becomes very interesting to me. Yeah, we already looked at Sol. We already looked at Sol, but like that's what we're just kind of watching here to see where this bounce goes to. But I'm not fully convinced that that's it yet. It could be, but I think that this is a pretty big test up here if we get up there. Pretty big test. Along with, you know, Bitcoin going back to 91, 92. Hey, Maine, Bitcoin or breakout prop question. Okay. What is the difference between prop versus perps? Well, you're trading a perps-like product with us. Like we pull our liquidity directly from an exchange, but you're trading our money. Like you're trading capital that you're not putting up. So the advantage is really it's like a form of leverage. So for $800, you can trade a $100,000 account. That's the advantage, right? So if you only have a few grand, you can now trade a 100K account or a 50K account, a 25K account for a couple $100 up to $800. I think is our most expensive plan. And you get to keep up to 90% of the gains. So if you have a 100K account, you earn 10%, you've made 10K and you can withdraw $9,000 of that. So that's the advantage. The flip side is there are rules, right? We have limited downside. You can only lose so much in a given day or overall on the account without blowing up. So the advantage is you get potentially massive upside, way more money to trade with. The thing you have to contend with is there are risk management rules in place that obviously don't exist on your personal account with your own money. How do you protect against idiots losing all? We have downside risk rules, and we have an entire risk engine that we built from scratch that will close the trades they're in and they're cut off their access to the account if they lose too much. Thoughts on the Sol unlocks in 5 days? I don't really have like a thought process on it because I don't really know. Like I imagine that there's some sort of shorts built into the system. Like I imagine some people have hedged that out already, but I don't necessarily see that unlock happening and that just all hitting the market. I'm kind of agnostic to it. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't really have a strong opinion. Why only 5x? Because for $800, I'm giving you a 100K account, which means you can open up a $500,000 position on Bitcoin or ETH. That's a ton of leverage. You've given me $800. You can open a 500K position. That is 500x leverage. A lot of what I do is based on ICT. I would just call it price action in general. It's not specifically only ICT. But it's a lot of it is from ICT, and then I've made it my own. Let's see if this plays out here. Sure, we can look at Trump. I love you too, Mario. You do have to KYC, but because we're a prop firm and we're not a centralized exchange, you can be American, Canadian, from Europe, and you can KYC with no issues. One sec, guys. Guys, my dog walker's here. I'm just going to run the dog down. I'll be right back. Okay, just enjoy looking at the chart. So if this gets a 5-minute close below here, I think it could sell off, but we'll see. All right, we're back. Sorry about that, guys. Can you resell breakout accounts? No, bro. Are you asking me if you can break the rules? The answer is no. I'm sure people do that kind of stuff, but if we find out that you break the rules, obviously you get banned. So please don't do that. Can I look at Popcat? Sure. Dog walker is crazy. You too rich. It's just pissing rain today, and I don't really want to fucking. I've got a lot to do today. I gotta go to the gym. I wanted to do this 2 hour long live stream for you guys. I don't really want to put on all my fucking rain gear and go hike into the fucking mountains because my dog is like a psycho, and so he needs like crazy exercise. So like, I'll take him to like Capilano, and I'll let him go off leash, and he goes ham out there, which is great for him. But it's like takes me 2 hours to fucking go tire him out, and I just don't have time for it today. It's not that expensive. Like I think I pay her fucking $20, and she takes him for the entire day. Okay, I'll look at Popcat, and then I'm gonna look at Trump. Interesting. So I mean, Popcat, interestingly enough, like it's you kind of look at it, you're like, okay, it's taken out everything. It's taken out all the lows. It's all the way full retrace, entire bear market. Now it's kind of holding up okay. I mean, over the last couple of days, right, it is down, 30% there, but it's starting to look somewhat interesting. A lot of these coins, right, the question is like, are we finally putting in some higher lows? But the easiest thing to do in all of these situations is just, it's a range, right? It's a range, okay? Range lows. Let's see what happens near the range highs if we get up there. What is going on? Sorry, what was the next one? We were going to look at Trump, right? Yeah, I mean, this to me, such a good level right here. Like that's, I know it's like fucking high from where we are now, but like that weekly level there becomes very interesting to me. Deviated below, traded back above, big pop, support, broke. So if at any point in time it gets back above this red line, I think it starts to look very interesting. I mean, love your content. Do you use any indicators like open interest, CFD, VWAP? It's so confusing me. I personally don't. So like I'm not on here like trying to pretend like I've got, you guys, the stream ends and then all of a sudden I throw 30 fucking indicators on. I'm like, haha, I tricked them. Like I don't use any sort of indicators. Occasionally I'll use like a moving average. And that's just more for like trend following. So you can look at like Bitcoin and you can maybe you have like 100 and 200 here. So I'll do 100. So like sometimes I'll use a moving average as like for just trend following, but I don't really use anything other than that. Like I'll occasionally use a moving average, but for the most part, everything you see is exactly what I do. I use ranges, I use order blocks and breakers, I use SFPs and like support and resistance. That's the bulk of my entire strategy. So if you go to the breakout YouTube, oh, Interesting.
What's poppin'? It's your boy Cassius Cuvée. I've signed up for a break.
Well, where the hell is my own YouTube channel? Is it unlisted still? Maybe it is. How the fuck do I find this? I don't even know how to find my own fucking company's YouTube channel. Is it this? Well, anyways, there is an entire free course. It might be hidden, yeah. There's an entire free course that I did that I think is pretty good. It's pretty entry level, but it's got some good stuff on it. And if you want more advanced stuff, you can join the Haven. I have an entire course there as well where I go over my entire H12, H1 strategy in great detail. But I also teach you guys exactly what I do every single week in these live streams. I've got 600 videos on YouTube. There are people who have taught themselves to trade by watching my old streams and just learning my system. It's not like I do anything. Yeah, you can post it, Nick. Like I do anything crazy. Bro says the hack was ages ago and crypto ain't crashing. I'm sure. I mean, this is the last 2 days we're down. And I'm trying to be clickbaity with my title. Yeah, anytime those guys want to have me on, I'm happy to go on. What's my take on ETH being stronger than Bitcoin on this fall? It's either means that ETH is about to take the lead or we're in for a world of more pain. So far, this bull market, every time ETH has taken the lead, it's been followed by a massive dump. So like if you look at like this, like the big corrections on Bitcoin, dude. So like is this weekly? This is weekly, right? So the times where we've had these large corrections, large moves on ETH, right? Like this bull market, ETH starts to lead here and then Bitcoin fucking pukes. ETH starts to lead here, Bitcoin fucking pukes. ETH started to lead just briefly, Bitcoin fucking pukes. So hasn't been a good barometer so far. What's the lowest price you predict for BTC this next bear cycle? Anytime Bitcoin goes down 80% from all-time high has been a buy for every single bull market and bear market that I've witnessed from 2013 until now. So the question is not how low will it go? The first thing you need to determine is where's the top? Because if the top is in now, 80% down puts us at 22,000. If the top is at 150K, right? 80% down now is 30,000, right? So it's really about not where the bottom's going to form, it's where the top is. Because if you look here, 80% drawdown was the bottom. Same thing here. 80% drawdown, right? That was basically the bottom. 80% drawdown even from here almost was the bottom. And then the 2013 bull run, which is not on here, it was the same thing. So I'm much more interested in figuring out, okay, when is the top in? Once we start getting 60, 70, 80% off the top, that's when I start really paying attention. Tony thinks the top is already in. Well, Tony, let me know if you're hiring then, because I'm going to need a job. Two gaps now, 94.78. Up then down or down then up. Gun to my head, up then down. Thanks, crypto. Okay. But what if BTC pukes and ETH gets bought up more? Because ETH basically the only thing that didn't do anything this bull. It didn't not do anything, right? Remember, ETH did bottom at 800 and went up 4x so far. So it's not like it's done nothing. It's just that it's underperformed Bitcoin. But ETH also underperformed Bitcoin last cycle until it didn't. Do you think that BTC having recognized by TradFi will change these cycles? I think there's no way you can argue that it doesn't change things. In a way that, like, remember we used to have the whole phase one chart. I went over this last time. Like, there's an argument to be made that, like, Bitcoin that is owned by El Salvador, right? Strategy, so Sailor, some ETFs, like this money that is going to be accumulated here and this increase in value is not going to then just downstream to alts like it used to. So that there's an argument to be made there for sure. Getting blown up right now. Show us our trades. Which trade? Not in a trade. No trigger here, right? Has to close below there. Yeah, we went over at Bitcoin at the start of the stream, brother. What do you plan to buy in the bear? Bitcoin. That's all I do. All I want is Bitcoin. That's all I want to own. The longer you hang around crypto, the more of a Bitcoin maxi you become. In the bear market, your goal is to accumulate USD and then use that USD to buy Bitcoin. And then if you're really good, you can move that Bitcoin into alts to capture the gain, and then you move that alt back into Bitcoin. That's the dream scenario, but that's not easy to do. No hype, no nothing. I only want Bitcoin. I don't give a shit about any other coins long term, really. I have a very small amount of my portfolio that I'll put in other stuff, but I like to hold Bitcoin. It's the best risk-adjusted asset. Aptos does look good here. I'm flat on leverage right now. I missed the long this morning. So if I would have woken up this morning, I would have loved to have gotten long down here, right? Once we swept out this low, swept out that low, right? There's your breaker. Right there. So I would have loved to have been long down here. But I just wasn't online. I was doing shit, didn't get in. Will BTC draw down 67% in the bear, though? Seems unlikely with so much institutional money holding. Well, I mean, technically, institutions can sell, right? Like, they don't have to hold forever. Money can leave ETFs. People can sell. So it's not like it has to be held forever, but you would like to think that these are stronger hands for sure, but anything can happen. What did I do with that so long? I closed it. I'm pretty sure I posted on Twitter yesterday. I got smoked. I just longed too early. My thesis on Sol, I think, was correct. I just started longing too early. Like, I longed at 150 once we took out this monthly low, so there's a monthly low here, right here. So I'm like, oh, we took out a monthly low. We're due for reaction. And I longed and we just gapped down to the next set of lows. So I was just too early. Absolutely. I will do my best to short on the way down. Like once the market tops and we start to go down, yeah, I think there's tons of opportunity to make money shorting. That shouldn't be ignored. I do my best. I do my best to be transparent with you guys. I don't really have anything to hide. So I just fucking click buttons and I try and make money, and sometimes I do and sometimes I don't. Not much to it here. What helped me find my edge in trading? Years of losing money and just repeatedly trying to get in there, figure out what works, what doesn't work, over and over and over again. And then eventually it started working, right? I started consistently making more than I was losing. But once I kind of had an idea of how to trade, and I built kind of the basis of a system, it was about refining the edge until it became profitable. I'm always aura farming, my bro. I want to see how resilient BTC is in a recession. My guess would be not very. So, what's the likelihood that people want to hold crypto if everything is shitting? How do you mark out the quarterly open? I use this tool. And then you can just go down here, quarterly open, and then bang, it's on for you. So the quarterly open is the yearly open in this case, right? So we are below the quarterly open on everything. But you can also just go to the monthly chart or the quarterly chart and do it yourself. Was the Elon impressive any good? I don't know. That's my first time ever trying it. All right, guys. Well, this has been a 2-hour long stream. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something. We had like up to 900 viewers at one point, which is absolutely bonkers. So thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. I love you. I'll be back with another stream soon, most likely on either tomorrow or Thursday. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of hours here, over the next day. And if we have a lot of action, we'll talk about it. But for now, kind of what I'm watching for, just to quickly summarize, is, okay, we had a big sell-off. Let's see if we get some bounces and potential bearish retests across the board. That's unfortunately the situation I think we're looking at here, is a bunch of potential bearish retests, but I'm happy to be proven wrong. If the bulls come out screaming and things start to look bullish, by all means, we'll look for opportunities to flip long, but there's a good chance some of these bounces and this low that is forming takes a little bit of time to suss out, and we're not just going to do this. If the bottom is in, I think it's very much more likely that it forms as some kind of a range, right? So that's what we'll be looking for across the board. Appreciate you guys. Love you all. And I will talk to you either tomorrow or on Thursday. Hope everyone has a great day and you're staying safe out there. Peace.